Get ready for some hard-hitting podcast action as you're tuned in to the Slam Session. Welcome everyone to Session 7 of the Slam Sessions. As always, I'm your host, Albert Albanese, and if you want to find us on social media, we're at the Slam Sessions on Twitter, and we're now on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/the Slam Sessions Podcast Network. So today we're going to, I had a really big show planned actually for today. But due to a couple of big things happening over the weekend, I kind of curbed that a little bit, and I'm going to maybe do that next week or maybe save that until after WrestleMania because it seems like we're getting to a little bit of an exciting time here during WrestleMania season. Of course, the big news, the big controversy, Goldberg wins the WWE Universal Championship from Kevin Owens, and he does it in under a minute, and a lot of people are pretty mad. This was going to be that podcast. It was going to be that podcast where I was actually going to agree with a lot of wrestling fans. And then, of course, I go on and I read, people talking and screaming and complaining about everything. And then I think, man, I don't want to agree with these people. But I do have to say, look, Kevin Owens was an incredible WWE Universal Champion. He won that title in controversial fashion. He was booked as the perfect heel, not winning matches without interference from Chris Jericho. The breakup of him and Jericho was fantastic a couple of weeks ago. I like that they're going to be going at it at WrestleMania. I'm not a big fan of the idea of Kevin Owens putting in all that work and then losing to a part-time guy in under a minute. And then Goldberg gets a main event to WrestleMania with Brock Lesnar because he's Goldberg. I know that there are a lot of casual fans that might be interested. You hear, oh, man, Goldberg's back. He's going to wrestle at WrestleMania. Oh, you know what? Maybe I actually want to see that. And that'd be great. They could have done that very easily by having him wrestle his third match with Brock Lesnar, have a big send-off for him, and everything would have been great. The problem I have is that no matter what, out of WrestleMania, we get the Universal Champion being a part-time wrestler. And I'm kind of getting a little bit sick of it because I do admit to a lot of people's points. We have to stop putting these guys on a pedestal and stop putting these guys in the position where they're the main attractions for these shows. Brock is killing me that he's only there part-time. I don't understand why these guys like Brock and Goldberg can't come back and wrestle matches on Raw. I mean, Jericho does it, so why can't they? What makes them more special than somebody like Jericho, I think will go down and being a bigger star than Brock Lesnar or Bill Goldberg as time goes on. I am happy that we are going to see a couple of these matches at WrestleMania. We get Jericho versus Owens, which should be a great match. These guys are going to tear it apart. I can't wait to see the build. Their mic work over the next couple of weeks is going to be phenomenal. Maybe AJ and Shane McMahon isn't going to be the best match, but I think it would be cool to see how that pans out. I mean, as of right now, I'm recording this on a Tuesday at 9 o'clock. I don't know what the outcome of the Randy Orton-AJ Styles match will be. I don't know what the storyline is. I've been here all day, so I can't speak to that as of right now. What I can speak to is the fact that it looks like it's going to be Orton versus Bray. And that segment with Orton burning down Bray Wyatt's, sister Abigail compound last week was great. It was one of the better produced pieces that WWE has done in a very long time. So I'm really excited to see where we go from there with that angle. What I am also excited to see is Undertaker versus Roman Reigns. Once again, I wasn't a huge fan of seeing Roman get a straight up win over Strowman, but at the same point, I think the WWE feels the need to keep Roman in a really good place to put him in a position to face The Undertaker at WrestleMania and think that he has a legitimate shot. Now, I do believe that he should be a heel, but again, we have a lot of people complaining. Again, the WWE edited out some of the Roman sucks chants during the Undertaker-Roman Reigns confrontation that happened on Monday Night Raw, and people were sitting there and they're like, oh, I can't believe they're doing this again. They're trying to make Roman look like this. They're trying to make Roman look like that. Of course they are. And the thing is that the more you fight it, the more Vince McMahon seems to get off on it. So maybe you should just kind of accept it. I miss the times when we're allowed to be a fan. And, we don't look, I'm not a big fan of all these guys who come out here and they do these podcasts and they write these articles and they own these, big Facebook groups and they go on and they bash the product. If you don't like the WWE, it's plain and simple. Don't watch it. If you don't want to see WrestleMania, don't watch it. Cancel your network subscription. Stop complaining. Because we've gotten to a point now where the complaining online is so bad, it makes me less of a wrestling fan. It's turning me off. Wrestling fans are turning me off to the wrestling product, and that's a bad thing to happen. I know a lot of people are complaining. They're like, oh, the casual fan, isn't in existence anymore. They should cater to the hardcore fan. But the thing is that if the WWE doesn't do what they can do, in their opinion, to get casual fans back interested, they're not creating a new fan base, and they want that new money. That's what it's all about. It's all about new money, because they know we're not going anywhere. Look at all of us. We sit here and we complain and we cry about the way the WWE books guys and shows and all that kind of stuff, and even the divas to a point, and we watch the next week. I know that no matter what, Monday Night Raw is going to be queued up on my DVR every Monday. SmackDown's going to be queued up every Tuesday. I'm going to watch all the pay-per-view events on the network. I have been a network subscriber since day one. That's never going to change. That $10 will be spent a month going to the WWE network every single month. It's never going to end. So, with that being said, if you guys really don't like the way the product is going, then simply just don't watch it. If you only want to watch the NXT show on your network, then just watch NXT. Don't watch anything from the main roster. It's very simple. There's very easy ways to protest this kind of stuff. Take money out of the WWE's hands, and then maybe they'll start listening. But until then, can we please, for the love of God, keep the complaining to a minimum? We are not bookers. We don't work in the WWE. Watching something doesn't mean that you are an expert on it. I've watched every NFL game that the Jets have played, since I was probably like 10 years old. That doesn't mean that I have all the qualifications to be a general manager for the Jets. Doesn't mean that I have all the qualifications to be a head coach. Sure, we can sit there and armchair quarterback things, but at the same point, we're not on the field and we're not in the back, and we don't know the decisions that can be made. The same thing can be said about the WWE. Now, I'm sure they have a plan as to why they push Roman Reigns into a big spot. Because let's face it, Roman Reigns is their guy. That's who they're going to hitch their wagon to. He's the John Cena of their next generation. And you can either not get behind him and boo him to death, or you can just deal with it and stop distracting people from the show. I know I say this every week, but it bears repeating because it doesn't seem like anybody's listening. Another big thing is that, we're starting off and getting a lot of not a resurgence, but a big surge of NXT athletes who are going to become major players in the WWE for years to come. And they're looking into really big matches. We have Seth Rollins wrestling Triple H, the founder, the godfather of NXT. We have Samoa Joe, looks like he's getting his spot on the main roster, getting a WrestleMania spot. Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, American Alpha. These are a lot of guys that were NXT born and bred, and they're getting they cut their teeth down there, and now they're getting their chance on the biggest stage. Kevin Owens, of course, too. So, we get that the NXT guys are being very well represented. One of the ideas I had for this was to go by every WWE NXT call-up and to kind of go over all of them. And I think I'm going to save that show if, the news is a little bit light for next week. Because I think it bears repeating that we're, complaining about the WWE product, but they're pushing the guys that we want to see. Sure, you can get mad about Goldberg and Lesnar being in the main event, but how mad can you get about seeing Jericho versus Owens? Sure, you can get a little bit upset that maybe John Cena is going to be in a match with The Miz, and you're not really that interested. But AJ Styles being very well represented in WrestleMania by taking on Shane McMahon. We're looking at a lot of the guys that everybody really likes, and they are getting the pushes that everybody wants. So I don't see what the need is really to complain anymore. We went over the John Cena AJ Styles match. It was phenomenal. Cena stepped up. He's doing great things. Everybody loved Bray Wyatt's character. He's an NXT guy as well, and Bray is getting, pushed to the forefront of all the storylines. We see the evolution, and we see the WWE is trying to appease everyone, but you guys just don't want to give them the shot. And I think that what we need to do is take a step back and give them that opportunity. Personally, I'm excited for WrestleMania. I'm not usually, for the past couple of years, I haven't usually been, so big on, everything that was going on. But this year, there's a solid card. There's really good, solid matches. They're building towards something really good. Dean Ambrose and Baron Corbin are really tearing each other apart on SmackDown, making a mid-card title feel a lot more prestigious than it has been over the past few years. We're getting a lot of good stuff coming, especially from the SmackDown side. So maybe instead of criticizing so much, we should sit back and enjoy, because I know that this ride to WrestleMania for me is looking like a very enjoyable one. I'm not going to spend a lot of time dwelling on this subject, and this is going to be kind of a short podcast, and it's not because there's not a lot to talk about, but it's because all the stuff that I feel like I need to talk about can really be looked at negatively by most of the wrestling community, and I'm tired of being, look, here's the thing. Now, I'm going to tell a really quick story. I may have told this a couple of weeks ago, but it bears repeating. I am a wrestling fan who does not like conversing with wrestling fans. A couple of weeks ago, I was walking down the street in my Randy Macho Man Savage t-shirt. Some guy stopped me and tried to talk about wrestling, and immediately alarms went off, and I went, I don't want to talk to this guy because he's probably going to sit there and just complain about the WWE, and I don't want to hear people complain anymore. I like to have constructive conversations about wrestling. I like to have constructive conversations about football. Look, I've already stated I'm a Jets fan. The Jets suck. But I like to sit there and talk to other Jets fans and talk to them and think, hey, what can we do to get better? Not, man, let me just dwell on how bad that team sucked. And I don't understand why it can't be like that with wrestling. The thing that bothers me the most about wrestling fans is the fact that, an analogy I brought up a couple earlier today to a friend was, it's like, what other medium of entertainment can you see something and boo your head off and try to integrate yourself in the show without being kicked out of someplace? It's a different kind of entertainment. Just imagine you're going to a play and, Robert Downey Jr. is the main character of the play and you're all excited because you're going to see Robert Downey Jr., but Robert Downey Jr. got sick. So instead of Robert Downey Jr., you got the guy who played McLovin from Superbad. Yeah, that sucks. But are you going to, every time he appears on stage, are you going to be like, boo, McLovin sucks. Get him off the stage. We want Robert Downey Jr. No. You sit there and you respect the performers that are acting in front of you and you enjoy the show. So maybe that's what we should take a cue from, and maybe we should sit and watch the wrestlers in the ring and we should watch them perform and we should stop criticizing so much, because I know that half these people who can sit there and say, well, Roman Reigns isn't a good worker and Roman Reigns can't wrestle, wouldn't be able to last 2 seconds inside that ring. They get hit once and all of a sudden, bam, they're on the floor, tears flowing down their face because they can't do what Roman Reigns did. Nobody is capable of being a professional wrestler, or else everybody would do it. Because we're all fans. So if we had the ability to do it, why wouldn't we be a pro wrestler? And we all think we can cut better promos than Roman Reigns, and we all think that if we were a wrestler, we'd be better. But I think in order to criticize somebody for doing their job, you should try to do that job first. And if you can't get in that ring and lace up a pair of boots and show that you can put on a better match than Roman Reigns, then you shouldn't be criticizing Roman Reigns' work as a wrestler. If you can't get out there in front of hundreds of thousands of people, or even tens of thousands of people, and talk on a microphone with confidence, then you shouldn't be criticizing Roman Reigns' promo skills. I guarantee you that everybody here thinks I can cut the best promo in the world, but probably would falter when you have a bunch of screaming fans chanting, "You suck," in the middle of your promo. I doubt you guys would react to the pressure that well. And look, I'm a very personable person. I've been in front of a lot of people. I feel like if I was in the center of the ring, I wouldn't get nervous. But man, having that many people looking at me, I'd probably be as nervous as I've ever been in my entire life. So with that being said, maybe we should stop taking a good hard look at the guys in the ring, take a good hard look in the mirror, and take a look at the people who are watching the show. And maybe we should stop criticizing so much. With that being said, like I said, this is going to be a really short podcast. I don't have a lot to talk about because I just feel like it's all going to be shrouded in negativity. And it's actually killing my passion for being a wrestling fan and killing my passion for doing these podcasts. I really think that what we need as wrestling fans is to band together, stop criticizing, and get on the same page and just enjoy the product again. If you want to talk about enjoying the product again, this leads me to what I always close it with, which is my match of the week. Now, I was trying to think of something that would be relevant. And last week I thought of a good match, and I was going to use it, and I decided against it because of the current climate. So I went with something that I think is quite possibly one of the best matches I've ever seen. It's Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho in their feud that they had post-WrestleMania. Shawn was on his way out, getting ready to retire. Chris Jericho was coming back from a long time off. Jericho finally turned heel on Shawn, and, we saw just some of the best matches we've ever seen between these two guys. And there was a street fight in which Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels just tore into each other. It was one of the best matches I've ever seen, and it was at, on a pay-per-view that was unique, because in that pay-per-view we had a brand new concept that was, we saw 5 guys come in at random timed intervals, and they fought until there was the time limit ended. And, you see something like that, and, Chris Jericho winds up, getting the crap beat out of him in this match against Shawn Michaels, and he comes in and he sneaks in and he gets the win and he wins the World Championship. So he loses the match, wins a world title, and we see, in a championship scramble match, and we just see just how good Chris Jericho really is. We also see just how good Shawn Michaels is. Two of the greatest wrestlers in the history of the world going at it one-on-one in a feud that had stakes. And let's face it, guys, look what we're looking at right now. We're looking at a lot of feuds during WrestleMania season that have stakes. Triple H versus Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton, Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon versus AJ Styles. They all have a story. It's not just two guys going out there and just wrestling because they can. And I'm not saying that that's always a bad thing to see that, because that could be a good thing. But I think that we finally got some good storytelling. So maybe, the WWE's turning the corner. We're getting good storytelling with Undertaker versus Reigns too. So go and watch that Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho match and look for the storytelling in that match, because I think that's what we're leaning towards during this WrestleMania season. That being said, this was Session 7 of the Slam Sessions. I'm Albert Albanese. Don't forget to follow us on social media, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening to the Slam Sessions. Find us on Twitter at The Slam Sessions. We'll see you next time.